I'm Tajci. At 19, I was a superstar and I was lost inside. I left it all behind, switched continents, and started all over. Years later, I found myself lost again, this time in the American dream. This is a story about awakening, about living the life you were created for, about going inward and discovering the joyous and purposeful person you and I are both meant to be. This is Waking Up in America. Hello everyone, it's the end of the season episode, and let me just say how thankful I am for your viewership and support. We started this year of Waking Up in America by explaining the intention behind our show, which is to bring you these unique turning points as an inspiration in your own life. Here's how we began this season. Are you ready to live fully the way you're created to live? That's why I'm passionate about sharing the stories that I share here on this show and connecting it with music to give you an inspiration and trigger that awakening, that shift inside, that waking up. I was absolutely committed to bringing you the best stories of people who have made some impressive shifts in their lives, and because of that shift are now helping others and making our world a better place. I'm so proud of my amazing team who have pulled through this powerful season, fueled by simply our passion and our faith. This show has given us a chance to interview people from welders and hairdressers to artists, world champions, mompreneurs, and millionaires. One thing they have in common is the shift they made toward living a life with purpose, removing all of the labels, social statuses, and material success to achieve this unselfish goal. I'd like to take a moment and acknowledge my amazing crew. Producer Matthew Cameron, DP Logan Christopher, also an editor, second camera operator Corey Rich, and most recent addition show consultant Karen Ronselli. Now, let's revisit some important and diverse highlights of this season and explain how the stories of these special people might influence your own lives. Whether you're shifting from a life of pain and fear, or trying to quit an addictive behavior, or if you're needing a new career, open your hearts and minds so you can enjoy this journey with us. Humans have always learned best through stories. Even math these days is learned through story problems. Believe me, I have 3 sons, and they always ask me to help them with my homework, and I'm pretty much clueless. We explored waking up moments of those who have identified themselves with tremendous success, but struggled to find their value outside of that success. Like Tim Worley, former Pittsburgh Steelers and Chicago Bears running back. And
for so many years, I didn't know what to do with myself because I took on that. It was hard for me to drop that identity. And it had me stuck. And we talked about fear earlier. That's what had me in fear because I didn't know how to make that transition into a normal lifestyle. I didn't know what to do with myself. I didn't know how to sit down and go and do a 9 to 5 or anything like that because, you know, at 10 years old, I'm playing sports until I'm 30, now it's over. Right, you don't know how to just sit and be. Right. I understand that, and I know that even the people who have maybe not have been stars or, you know, achieved that success can understand that. Even when your dishes are clean and your kids are off the bed, can you sit with yourself knowing who you are? Yeah, I never knew who I was. I thought I did, but when it was over for me, the sport, that's when, my first wife, it was like, okay, hi, I'm Tim, who are you? Finally, I'm home and I'm sitting still. I started competing when I was 10, and all of a sudden, when I'm 30 years old, it's over. Another guest who identified with her successful career and athletic abilities is Lucinda Rue, celebrated as the Queen of Spin, the world's fastest spinner on ice.
The waking up for me was like, is it worth it to sacrifice my body so much for something, for something that's maybe not quite appreciated anyways at this moment, and being so sick and not being able to have like a life. And I think for me, it was just coming to the realization that I needed to be Lucinda before the skater. And I had been so long, even not just the skater, I had been the spinner, Lucinda, like the fastest spinner. and to really be able to become Lucinda first. I think that was the waking up moment with my body collapsing. It was almost like my body was saying it can't anymore. It was speaking instead of my words, because I couldn't. Growing up, especially in Japan, you're not allowed to speak to your coaches. You're not, in European discipline, you're not allowed to talk, which is great. I mean, you don't talk back to your parents. You don't. But you also, in the Japanese culture, you don't speak your mind. You don't.
Or your feelings.
Your feelings. You kind of hide everything. So I think everything was so stuck inside. When I was spinning, I was showing it through my body, but once I couldn't spin, my body collapsing. It was like my body showing that, look, you can't do this anymore and not be Lucinda. You're not living a life of
Honor
Lucinda.
who you are.
Yeah.
Yes.
It was time for me to do a drastic change.
Then, there are those who had really hard turning points caused by illness or loss of a loved one. Stowe Daly, a singer-songwriter, author, and inspirational speaker, is a cancer survivor who brought us to tears with her story and her spunky personality.
The sadness that was in me grew into cancer. And it said, if you're not going to live your life, you're going to lose it. And I got that in such a big way. It's, yeah. I learned, I've said this many times, fear doesn't stop you from dying. It stops you from living. And I just had to let go of that and say, you know what? It doesn't matter. Just get out there and do it, You don't know how long you're going to be here.
Yes. Robin Mazar is a former Marine Corps soldier, certified personal trainer, and holistic life coach who left us speechless with her powerful testimony of healing and finding joy after a tragedy.
I had a wonderful week with my children and grandson, and then I get a call that my son was killed.
What did you do?
2 years ago, standing at the beach, which I love the beach, crying by myself. Early morning. And I'm sitting there and I walk, for some reason, have this feeling to get up and walk into the water, and I do. And I'm looking at the horizon, tears falling, saying, Anthony, I wish you were here to see how beautiful this is. And then catching myself and saying, oh my gosh, what you see, I know, is more magnificent than I can even imagine. And at that exact moment, I look down, the waves stop, and this perfect sand dollar is sitting right there, and I scoop it up. So I know that faith and love played such a huge part in my healing. And when I'm having those days where I'm really missing him, and my husband always says this to me, where's your sand dollar?
And then there are those whose lives were good, but they still felt something was missing. Like Daniel Epstein, a marketing consultant from Toronto, Canada, and founder of Portraits in Faith, who at one point dropped to his knees and prayed to God he didn't know.
I think it's best summarized what a psychiatrist once said to me. He was referring me to another psychiatrist, and he described me as a young man who wasn't happy about much. And I remember being at breakfast one morning with a friend of mine in Boston, and I just said, a couple of events had happened, but I just said to her, this friend of mine, I said, Jody, I need help, and I don't know what it is. At that moment when I said that to my friend Jody, but what happened is I feel like the universe started making available to me healers and ways of healing, therapy, different healers I've worked with, group work, and I started to realize that I was the source of my problem.
And Calvin LaHue, a powerhouse entrepreneur who set up his mind to be a millionaire by the age of 35, but when he achieved his goal 2 years early, he asked himself, now what?
So my life just was transformed from being a little country boy from Leapers Fork on into Washington. I got to meet 5 presidents, 3 of them on a personal daily basis before they became president, Kennedy, Johnson, and Nixon, when I was a page in the Senate then. And it was just unbelievable what I went through there. And I did go on and graduate and to fulfill my parents' desire for me, even though I didn't want to. And then it was, what's next?
And so at one point you wrote down a goal to be a millionaire
At
the
age
of
35.
35.
Yes.
Okay, so how did that work
And
out?
I hit it at 33.
Oh, bummer.
And I was not any happier.
Oh,
I had
no.
leaky roofs, I had stopped up commodes, and I had wealth, but I wasn't any happier.
Throughout the season, we sang with our guests and shared with you the music that helped trigger a lot of these shifts. I hope you enjoyed their music.
I'm a thistle farmer, and thistle farms is where I work. We make body butter, balm and polish. I like to whistle when I work. We come together holding hands in the circle where we meet. Lip balm smooth, this candle's burning bright, and this paper is really neat. You see, Becca Stevens started this thing over 15 years ago. So come on by and get our products, we'll welcome you at the door.
You need 12 good men. You can only find 11. There are 6 young lives still waiting for number 7. I may be living on earth, but I'm living for heaven.
And you may ask, why is this shift important? Who cares if I live my life half asleep or awakened? The stories of these guests show us how, when we awake to the person we're created to be and live with purpose, we truly make a difference in the world. Like Becca Stevens, who turned her own healing from being sexually abused as a child to founding Thistle Farms, the global community for survivors of sex trafficking, abuse, addiction, and prostitution.
Just leaving a place where that was helping homeless folks. I was working with women, but at that point it was like, here's a pair of socks, here's a $5 voucher to get on the bus, you know, and it's like, we don't remember that if you need a pair of socks, if you're coming down to stand in line for a pair of socks, you need a lot more.
Yes.
So the job was already troubling, and I had the idea of what did it mean to have a sanctuary and a community come together and do this work. So we're going down Broadway, leaving work. I'm trying to get him in the car, and there's this huge sign for an old strip joint called the Classic Cat, and the woman's in a cat suit, you know, just leaning back, smiling, and I'm trying to get my son in the car seat, and he said, "Mama, why is that lady smiling?" And the question from my son just broke my heart. It was like, at some point he's not going to ask that anymore, that this is going to fade into the landscape of what we think is normal for women. And I didn't want him to think that I thought that was all right to buy and sell women for probably less than you can get a cat. And so I had this mind, I had all this, and it was that moment of clarity to say, guess what, do it today. And let him grow up knowing that we love women, I mean really love women, and honor women and want them to be whole and healing.
Sandy Griffin is a holistic life coach, writer, and motivational speaker who works tirelessly with the homeless in Nashville and inspires others globally to do the same.
I started working with the homeless, and then I realized that I had so much love to give, and all they wanted was to be loved. I mean, they want so little, and they appreciate so big.
How is what you do here affecting the world? What do you think?
Well, you know what? I put stuff on Facebook, and for a while there I really wondered if it was self-serving. And then I realized that people all over the world are telling me that they're starting things because of what they see on Facebook.
Rashad the Poet, award-winning spoken word artist who changes lives through Southern Word, a nonprofit that seeks to empower the community's youth through the written and spoken word.
At first I was like, we're gonna teach poetry in school? That's not gonna work, but, because I didn't know. And 8 years later, here we are, and it's been an incredible journey.
Wizards of Oz, no curtain needed. They hide in plain sight, most just don't see it. Too busy in the struggle, trying to make a living. Now pass it on is the key, give back what you were given. Zombies walk around, but they not really living. Folks all over been dealing with these capers. Been over some years' time, some yet to see paper. Just trying a great escape, what's the point in the hate?
Just as this show hopes to influence your lives to finding your inner purpose, it's been truly a big blessing to me. My gratitude to all of you who have shared stories with me on how this show helped you. Our guests have been diverse, soul-driven men and women who exposed their weaknesses and ultimate strengths to change their purpose in life. You have written to me explaining how these stories have made an impact on you, and I'm deeply grateful for that. And that, my friends, is reward that has no measure. When I read these comments, I know that we have accomplished our goal, and we would like to continue down that path for the next season. If you have a great story or would like to nominate someone, please reach out to us on the website, wakingupinamerica.net. I would like to thank the networks for broadcasting our show and send a huge shout out to our monthly contributors. If you're enjoying the stories we're bringing to you, consider becoming one yourself. The details are on our website, wakingupinamerica.net. Well, my friends, here it is. We'll end this season with one of my favorite songs, Breathe. Remember to breathe when times get tough. Change is hard. Making this shift is hard, as is every transformation. Know that you are not alone. And remember, every breath you take brings you everything you need and already have to live your life with purpose and joy. Air, love, peace, and grace. And that is what I wish for each and every one of you. Thank you one more time for a wonderful season of Waking Up in America.
We've been waiting for too long, we've been lied to, we've been wronged, we've got nothing but bags of fool's gold. I'm done playing for the prize, I'm cutting off all ropes and ties, I'm letting go, free my soul. I'm standing tall, clearing voices in my head. Where are clouds that will bring the rain? I wanna clear my mind and clear if we only keep our voices down. But I have to sing and I want to laugh. I'm stepping out of the line. You can have my place, I don't really mind. I'm on my way to see what I can find. Standing tall, clearing voices in my head. Where are clouds that will bring the rain? I wanna clear my eye and a clear heart, so I can breathe air, unafraid and unrestrained, propelled by love and enlightened by grace, so I can breathe air again. Breathe, 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 breathe. Breathe, breathe, breathe again. Breathe, 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 breathe. Breathe, breathe, breathe again.
Please stay in touch with us, connect with us on social media, and join our email list at wakingupinamerica.net. We have a wonderful Thanksgiving special planned for you, as well as Christmas special with celebrating our blessings and ways to pay forward. And as always, thank you for watching. See you next time.
Breathe, 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 breathe again.
This episode has been brought to you by Doing Good, a 501c3 nonprofit organization which tells real stories by real people who are making a difference through volunteering. Find out more online at Doing Good TV or the website doinggood.tv.